All right, Hygiene Elevated Conversations and Innovations. We've got Julie Looker here, the woman behind
Hygiene Glow.
which is a very new hygiene apparel company. And so we are very excited to get to know a little bit more insight to Julie and the history of the company.
Thank you so much, you guys, for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, Julie, can you tell us a little bit about your dental hygiene journey and what's inspired you to start the apparel company?
Sure. So my journey kind of started in high school. I had a real passion for dentistry. I realized I had a passion for dentistry after many years of orthodontic work, and here I am back in orthodontics again. But I was getting my 6-month cleaning with my hygienist, and she was like, well, you've been with us for a long time. Like, why don't you come shadow us and see if you like hygiene? And since you've had so much orthodontic work, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am interested in this. So I did, and I fell in love with it. So I knew from high school that I wanted to be a hygienist. And so then I went to Northern Arizona University to get my bachelor's in hygiene, because I knew that I not only wanted to be a hygienist, but I also wanted the option of teaching, like in a clinical setting. So in order to do that, you probably want to get your bachelor's. So I did that. I graduated in 18, and then I worked as a temp for a year until I found my first full-time job that I worked for a few years. And then I left that job, and then I am working at the same job I'm at now. So it's been 5 years out of school. And then I had the opportunity to actually teach last January through May during the school year. So that was really fun. And then that led me to here. Working full time can be really tough on you and on your back. So I'm trying to, cut down a little bit and also have this as like a side hustle to bring in income. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
I love that. That's like one thing led to the next. You were inspired by the hygienist, and then I just love it. I love that story.
A long journey to get here.
I was slightly inspired by my hygienist as well. I didn't have extensive ortho, but I distinctly remember, like, I loved my hygienist. She was like, always seemed like she was having a good time at work. But I, for whatever reason, remember like one of the marking moments. I remember a commercial for extra gum that like claimed it didn't stick to your bridge work. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is it even talking about? I just like, for whatever reason, that piqued my curiosity in dentistry. I never inquired about that to my hygienist because I was like, I don't think I have any bridge work in my mouth, so I'm not concerned about it, but good to know. So
I just remember my hygienist as a kid was like the prettiest blonde, like beautiful blonde Barbie. And her name was Crystal. And she had these gorgeous blue eyes and like the longest eyelashes. And I'm like, I want to be like her. And then, yeah, she's like, total role model. So I think just all that coming together, I'm like, ugh, you're just great.
Well, Julie, let me ask you, how do you envision this dental hygiene merch impacting like the lives of other dental providers or their patients? Like, what are your goals or visions for this?
I think it's just fun to have something that represents your career in a fun way, because hygiene, as you know, can be really taxing on your body. It can be mentally taxing. You come home from a long day of people not wanting to be there. And so sometimes you think like, oh, why am I doing this? But then when you have such like a fun shirt, it just reminds you of like why you're doing this, why dental hygiene is fun. It just makes a difference. And I like to think that I could wear it at work, start like a conversation with some patients. They say, hey, what's on your shirt? And then you can talk about, why this is a funny like dental joke. Or like even just wearing it out on the street, someone could comment on your shirt if they don't understand it, or hey, that reminds me, like I need to go to the dentist, and you could strike up a conversation with them and talk about it. And potentially bring somebody into the practice. You never know. So I think it could be like an educational thing for people, as well as just something fun and something lighthearted.
Speaking of fun and lighthearted, I love your newest Barbie one.
Oh,
The one
thank
that says
you.
Hygiene. I was like, that's a great one. I
Thank
always like,
you.
if I'm trying to create something, I'm like too literal sometimes. I'm like, okay, what in dentistry starts with B? And all I could think was brush. And I was like, that
Yeah.
looks dumb. So your
Brushy. Yeah.
Hygiene one is great. I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I showed it to our assistant who is going to, she's in the process of getting her prereqs for hygiene school.
Mhm.
And she's super into Barbie right now. And so she was like, oh, I'm buying that. So
Oh,
I'm sure
that's
she has
awesome.
purchased.
Oh, thank you. That's so
You're welcome.
awesome. Yeah, I know. I was thinking the first shirt that I did was like dental hygienist, and it was super long.
Yeah.
And I had actually like taken away so I did like the Barbie profile, and I had taken like the ponytail off, because a lot of hygienists don't wear a ponytail, they just have a bun. And so I took that off and I put the bun on, and I'm like, I don't know if like people are gonna get this. Here's like the first one.
Oh, that's fun.
So it was like the first kind that I did, but it didn't actually sell. So when I took the bun off and did just the ponytail, then I started getting a bunch of sales. So I think people weren't recognizing it as like hygienist
Barbie.
Barbie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then once I changed the font to just hygienist, like I think more people got it. So yeah, that was fun though. But thank you. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear some positive reviews.
Love it.
Yeah.
I've been eyeing the Barbie stuff. I'm wearing your Smokey the Flossie the Bear. Only you can prevent gingivitis or gum disease on the back. When Amanda and I went to the convention out in Tennessee and we were flying back, this happened to be the shirt I was wearing in the airport. And because other people in the airport were leaving the convention, I had
A
people
lot.
ask me like, where did you get that? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you where I got it. I'm like,
Free
"Wow."
advertisement. Thanks, Joffrey.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Let's see. So, Julie, what are some of the like unique or creative designs that you've incorporated other than the Barbie and the Flossie the Bear that I've got on?
Well, it seems to be a fan favorite is the Feeling Loopy shirt and wine tumbler. And so for those of you who don't know what it is, it looks like this.
Oh, how cute.
And it started on like a wine tumbler, and I was like, what could be funny on like a wine glass? Like I have one wine glass that says scale all day, then rosé. And I was like, that's funny. So then I'm like, oh, loopy. Oh, hygienist loopy. So then I put this on the glass or the tumbler, and people seem to like it. So I put it on a shirt, and then people seem to like that. So that's my best selling one. I think it's just like silly and punny, and it appeals to hygienists and dentists. So it's probably why. I also made like this one. It's kind of a silly, well, turn it around.
Oh, much better. Much better visual.
Yeah. So it says Big Arches Dental Fan Club. So obviously it's like a play off of the arches in Utah, but it's supposed to be like a subtle, silly dental thing. So it's not like
That
straight
one
up in
was
your face.
so subtle. So subtle. Like I think you were describing it and I was like, oh, arches. I thought you were just kind of doing like national park themes or something. And then I was like, okay, I guess. And then arches.
Yeah,
We
I don't
deal
know.
with them
It
all the
might be a
time.
little far-fetched, maybe. I don't know. But it still gets
I
people
think
be
it's
like,
clever.
like, why does it say dental fan club? And you'd be like, like big arches, and people are like, okay, okay, yeah, we get it.
No, you're like your Utah fan base. I knew exactly what this was. Like immediately.
I'm thinking maybe I should just move to Utah because I've got the Flossie Bear, I've got the arches, like I've got all these nature things. Like maybe I'm just belonging in Utah.
I want to point out Smokey the Bear is New Mexico. He is a little bear cub that survived New Mexico, which I'm from New Mexico. So you're actually representing both of us very well in t-shirt.
Oh, well, I need to make an Arizona one then.
There you go. There you go.
Some of the other ones I did, like I just like punny shirts. So one is like Born to Debride, and it has like a little skull with wings, like Born to Ride, like the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think of like funny keywords thing. I'm like, how can I make this dental related? Like, what's a silly joke, and then turn it into a shirt. So most of them are funny, but I like funny stuff, so I'm probably gonna keep doing it that way. I just like, like kitschy things.
Well, I think that goes to like the lighthearted nature of the business. I mean,
Yeah,
I
totally.
don't want to say there's like too much technical stuff out there, but I think those like funny puns or like ways to incorporate like Barbie pop culture into something that can be perceived as very boring or technical is a really fun lighthearted way to like reach especially Gen Z, right? Like
Yep.
our little assistant who's like Barbie, like,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, she's very excited about it. So
that's awesome.
I think it's fun. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm not super into like the whole like, not that it's bad, but I've seen shirts where it's like, I'm dental hygienist, like I'm a I don't know, the serious thing. Like I can see the appeal of it, but my mission is just to have like a lot of fun and be really lighthearted. So
I'm kind of thinking too, like I love on the note of like being lighthearted. It's hard to be angry or frustrated or upset when you've got like a really cool fun shirt on. It's
true. You just got to look in the mirror and be like, oh yes, only I can prevent gum disease.
No, that's fun. So going back to your career, not that this isn't your career, but the career that has kind of brought you into this phenomenal side hustle that you're kind of blessing the rest of us with so that we can enjoy. What has been some of the more gratifying parts of your job? Because you work in education as well. What have you enjoyed with being in education?
I just really like encouraging. Are you talking about like students or just patients and students alike?
I would say more students in the education
Okay.
realm of things. Sorry, not clinical, but like in the education realm.
I just really like I said, having fun with things. When I was in hygiene school, it was really hard on me. Like my instructors were pretty tough, pretty brutal. And so that was one reason why I wanted to go into education, is to show the students like, hey, it's okay to mess up, it's okay to make mistakes, like encourage them. And so that's where I found like a lot of passion for education, is just showing them like the great things about everything and just being understanding. And then a lot of times, if you don't understand what you're learning, it can be incredibly frustrating. And so I just like to open that to patients and students, to be like, if you understand it, you might like it more. And I'm still that way, like with my patients, like people seem to be really scared of the dentist. And I think it's because they don't understand what we're trying to give them and the quality of care we're trying to give them. And so that's kind of where I come from with that.
I think that's a great motivation.
Yeah.
For that, because I definitely had some fairly old school tough hygienists, which it's great. It definitely helps prepare me, but it would have been nice to, I don't know, have somebody that could like speak directly to you, not down to you, but to you where you're at. So
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, just being mindful of like, they're going through a really hard time, and like you might understand it, you've gone through the process, but you need to have compassion for these students because this is the first time they're learning these things. And it's incredibly frustrating, and they just need encouragement. So I really tried to focus on that when I was instructing, is just being encouraging, because I want them to love their job. I don't want them to go into the hygiene field thinking, ugh, like this is so hard. Like everything has to be so perfect and I have to be perfect and all these things. It's just like, no, give yourself some grace. You're a human, you're a professional, but give yourself some grace. So I think that helped a lot of the students gain their confidence when they were graduating, is like, I can do this, instead of getting beaten down.
Yeah. I had a conversation today at my office. We have a brand new doctor. He just graduated this year. and I have not asked him how old he is, but I can't imagine he's past 30. And he's super great. I love him so much, but he was just saying how he's really starting to feel the fatigue when he goes home of just like having to be on all the time, of like having high energy, and like you have to be on with every patient. And I'm like, something, this is kind of a side note off of Hygiene Glow, but just a side note conversation that we had. I told him, like, you don't have to be on and be this high energy person for every patient. Not every patient wants your high energy. Like, you have to know, like, the type of patient. Like, the office that I was at back in New Mexico, we focused on like 4 main personality types, and you have your analyticals, you have your very technical, you have your patients that like will tell you their whole life story before you ever touch their mouth. And then you have patients that just like want to sit back and think about things for a little bit. I was like, those patients all do not want the same thing from you. Like, some of them don't care about your family for half a second, you know, just like they don't care about that side of it. I was like, they just want to know that you're qualified to be in their mouth. Like, they don't need you to be happy and peppy. They just want to feel confident. I was like, and so much of it, like, you don't have to give more than the patient wants from you. And just that level of burnout. And so he was like, I've never heard that. Thank you. I was like, did I just get to a doctor?
Read the room.
Yes, you did.
I think I actually said, read the room. Like, just know your patients. Like, not everybody needs you to be high energy, and that's too draining for you. So anyway, it was a good conversation, and I think he loves me. So, in a platonic way.
He's like, thank you so much for telling me that. I don't have to be so perfect all the time. It's a hard job for an extrovert too, especially because people are expecting you, you know, most people are expecting you to just chat their ear off. And sometimes you're just so tired and you're just like, okay, and open. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So anyway, back to our conversation.
Back to the questions. Yeah.
So how did you set up your business? Because you're online. Have you ever done like a pop-up store or anything like that? Or are you pretty much exclusively online?
So everything is online. It's all e-commerce, drop shipping. I actually attempted to do an online t-shirt business last year around August or something. And I didn't really have like a niche. I just thought, well, I'll make a bunch of funny, clever t-shirts. And so because Halloween was rolling around, I thought, well, it'd be a good idea to do Halloween shirts because that's what people are going to be searching in the next couple of months. So I made like a ton of different Halloween shirts. I spent like way too much time on this. I set up my Shopify store. I didn't want to do Etsy because there's a lot of competition on Etsy, and your product could get lost in the mix. So I thought, I'll do Shopify. I'll do my own shirts. And I wasn't really selling anything because I didn't have like a niche boiled down. And I also had like an Instagram for the shirts, but I didn't know who to follow because it's like, how do you follow people for just like Halloween shirts? So I ended up closing that shop after a month, and kind of like gave up on the idea for a little while until this February or March of this year. I was like, you know what? No, I want to try this again because I really enjoyed making the shirts. I just needed to focus in on an audience. And so I thought, well, whatever better niche to do than dental hygiene, because I am very well versed in hygiene. So I started again. I bought an iPad. I went to Costco. It was on sale. It was still like, $500, but still it was on sale. And I downloaded this art program called Procreate, and basically you get like an Apple Pencil and it's like a digital art interface. And so I started drawing all of my designs instead of using Canva and that kind of thing, because I wanted to steer clear of like any copyright issues. So you can use Canva to an extent, but you just have to be careful. If you do like all of your artwork is from Canva, then you could potentially run into some issues. But if you use like pieces of it, then it should be fine. But anyway, I started drawing all my own things. Then I knew who to follow because now I had a niche. So I followed people who followed like RDH magazine. So I knew that I was following hygienists, and that kind of thing. So it was a lot easier to get an audience with with a smaller niche. And so now I have, I think, like 1,600 followers. I follow like 4,000 people, but you know, it's a slow process, but I've made quite a few sales, and almost all of them are through Instagram. So that's my main source of advertising, I guess. Was that your question? I don't remember your original question. I just started going off.
I don't either, but it was all good information.
Yeah. Okay.
I had tried, well, I'm still in the process of trying to do a sticker shop, but I'm not doing it through Instagram. I was trying to do it through Etsy, and yes, definitely there's so much, which is cool. Like, it's amazing that there's so many options, but it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so much.
Yeah,
So,
you got to start somewhere though. I think for stickers, Etsy is a fantastic place to start. And you just need to advertise the heck out of your Etsy on Instagram, and Lord knows there's plenty of hygienists that love stickers. So you won't, you know, you won't have a problem finding people, and I'll be one of the first to follow you if you do. So you should do it.
Thank you. I'll probably keep it through the Curvy Scaler. Whenever that day
and you
comes.
already have a good following, so I don't think you would have a problem getting people at all.
Hopefully.
It's the people that have Etsy that they don't do any advertising that have a really hard time making organic sales.
Yeah. I feel like I now have an excuse to get an iPad because I have a Mac, but I can't Procreate.
Yep. I know. I was like, what other thing can I use this MacBook for besides Procreate? Because I feel like that's a big investment for this. But now I read books on it and I can watch Netflix on it. So I'm like, okay, like I justified my purchase over 3 times. So it's all good.
I think I can justify it now because my husband and I take road trips and we take it in our camper. So I feel like we can watch movies or something on our camper, on the iPad.
Yeah, you'll turn into a full-blown iPad kid at the restaurants and be playing on your little iPad.
We try not to be those people because, sometimes you look around and you're like, ugh, what's their life like? They're just on their iPhones, like doing whatever, you know.
Yeah, I'll say drawing on the Procreate is pretty addictive. So you might find yourself like in public drawing. So you just never know.
Do you feel like you are naturally a creative person? Like you like to doodle? Because I don't feel that way, but I want to create, but I don't feel like I'm very good in the artistry side of things.
I would say that I am pretty creative. I was definitely like in my peak creativity in high school because I was doing art classes and stuff like that, and getting like training in painting and drawing and stuff. I kind of fell off in college because of school. And so that was another thing, is like I was kind of itching for creativity. And so me getting back into it, it takes me a long time to create something so simple like this, you know, when it
that is not simple. That is so not simple.
I feel like it's pretty simple, but it takes me a long time to do it. And so I'm like, I think I just need some practice, but I would say that naturally I'm pretty creative. I definitely need like inspiration. A lot of times, like I'll have to ask friends, be like, what's a funny, like, what do you think I should put on a shirt, you know, and then feed off of that. But for the most part, yeah, I'd say I'm like more, my whole family is a family of artists. So I'm hoping that their genes are going to come through me.
So that's the trick. That is the trick. Have a family of artists and buy an iPad.
Exactly. The iPad. Yep.
Well, Julie, you mentioned you're using like a drop ship program right now. What kind of process did you have to pick the right vendors, sellers, distributors, kind of a thing? Like, how did you know which one to go with?
So I started out with just doing a lot of research, because there are plenty of website vendors like print on demand and drop shipping that you can choose from. There's like Printify, there's Printful, there's a bunch of like smaller companies that do this kind of thing. But I decided to go with the most universally known one, which is the Printify. And I found that through YouTube. So I watched this girl, oh gosh, what's her name? She has really great YouTube videos about drop shipping. If I can remember it later, I'll mention her. But anyway, she mentioned Printify. They have so many things that you can print on. They've got cups, shirts, doormats, like seat covers, magnets, like hats, everything. They have everything. And so a vendor can go through Printify and do your shirt. So I'm going through this company that's based in America, and I chose them because they had really good reviews. And so then I ordered some samples from them just to make sure that the print quality was what I was looking for. And it was great. So I'm choosing them, but everything is done through the Printify website and then a vendor within the Printify website. So yeah, there's a million options, but I think Printify is a really great place to start. Even with like the stickers, Amanda, if you don't have like your own Cricut machine, or you don't want to go through like a sticker app or something like that, you could start with a drop shipping print on demand where they print everything for you and ship it out for you. It is like a higher cost to do that, and your profit margin is lower, but to get you started, it could be a really good option. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How long would you say it took you to like really from beginning to end, like the idea conceived the second time around for you, of course, but to the point where you're like, yes, I'm satisfied with this product, to put it out there and feel good about my name being attached to it?
Honestly, it was a leap of faith. It was like within a matter of a month, and like getting my very first sale, I was like, oh gosh, like, I hope this is good. Like, cause a lot of the times you don't see all your products because it is drop shipping. You have a lot of faith putting it into your Printify, making sure the design is perfect. And then you're like, okay, I hope that the customer is satisfied. And so I reached out to my first, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 customers just to see, because all of them ordered different things and saw if they were satisfied with it, and they were. And so I knew that the quality was good. And I had ordered myself a sample and I liked the quality. So yeah, you just have to be careful, like double checking your design, making sure there's no flaws on it, because once that's shipped out, it's shipped out, you know. So yeah.
Would you what was I going to ask? Once I know you don't have your hands on product because you're using that drop ship, so you don't actually do it. I know I've ordered things from like online through Instagram, but it's a small business and they do have hands on, and they'll put like a handwritten note in there when you get your product. You're like, thank you, and it'll say like, thank you so much for supporting our small business. A little, like, it's handwritten. It's not one of those printed to look handwritten. Those are amazing. Do you do any sort of like follow-up email, or like do you have your vendor do like a little insert into the package by any chance, as a thank you or welcome to my brand kind of a thing?
I would love to do that. Right now, the vendor, I don't think they do that. They just send it like in a package, which is pretty impersonal. And I don't love that. Like, I do wish that I could send a note. I think they just started having an option through Printify to add like a personal note, which is great. So I'm going to look into that, because it does make a difference. Like when you can see like, thank you so much for supporting me. I did follow up with a couple of people. A lot of people will message me on Instagram and tell me, hey, I just ordered a shirt. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I'll follow up with them and ask them how they like it. But yeah, I would like to add a little bit more of that personal touch to it, because it does make a difference. But right now they don't do that, just because it's like, you know, through a company.
Yeah, that's
my
tough.
designs, but they package it, so I can't like add my cute pink like I would add like pink tissue paper and like little things like that. The one thing that I have been able to personalize are like my sticker orders, because I do have these in person. I decided to stop going through the print provider to send out stickers, because they were charging $4 for shipping per sticker, which is ridiculous. I mean, how much does it cost to ship something this thin, you know? So I just ordered a bunch on my own, and I'm going to ship them out, and I have shipped out quite a few, and I, you know, put them in a card, and write them a note. And that way it's like flat and it costs me 60 cents rather than $4.
$4. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been fun. I like doing that. But yeah, if I had all the shirts and inventory at my house, that would be pretty tough, but it does add that personal touch. I just want my company to be a little bit more hands off because that's how it fits into my life. You know, I don't have time all the time right now to package it, but hopefully actually in the future, if this did become a big enough thing, I would like to have inventory and do that, and do my own printing, because you're going to save on printing costs too, and you're going to save on shipping and all that stuff. So maybe someday, but yeah, I got to look into that personalized note. Thanks for reminding me on that.
I know, just the people that I've bought from that have those notes, like it just stands out more in your mind. You're like, oh, this is a real person, not just you know, an e-commerce drop ship shop kind of a thing.
Yeah, totally.
So, but it's also nice whenever you follow somebody on Instagram and you see, oh, this is a real person, you know, not just some conglomerate that made a cool design that I like. So
yeah. And I pretty much respond to anyone that messages me on Instagram, because it's just me. I say we, like, hi Jigo, like we want to show you, but it's just me. So if you reach out to me, I'll respond. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
Okay, so Julie, you just put out the new Barbie stuff, totally on point with current events. What else do you have kind of set up in the pipeline though? What's next?
Well, I am looking into the Halloween collection now.
I was just gonna say, it's her time of year.
Back to my roots. Yeah, so I'm working on that. And then I'm also working on some digital downloads. So we're looking to do like resume downloads, like templates, I guess I should say. We're trying to do some like note templates. So like you can bring it to the doctor and be like, this crown is this, how old, you know, when was it placed, what's the complaint, and just like be able to hand them a slip. Some offices like that. And then I'm also looking into doing like more pajamas and like blankets and like more fun stuff like that. Like I'm obviously going to do more t-shirts, but I want to add as much stuff to my website as possible, because you just never know who wants whatever. But I know last time we talked, Amanda, you were super interested in the pajamas. So I'm still working on that idea. I think it would be super fun. So yeah, but Halloween is the next thing on the roster. So that should be dropping on August 15th, which is 5 days away. So I got to get cracking.
Yeah,
I've got like 2 or 3 shirts, but I'm probably going to try to do like 8. So I got to start working on that. Probably after we finish this, I'll start drawing, but I already have one. I have one up on the website now.
Nice. I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, it's a little ghost holding a toothbrush. He's cute.
Halloween has to be such a different experience in Arizona, where it's still like 100 degrees outside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you see in the movies, you know, there's no crisp air. It's just hot. And everyone ends up like ditching their costume because it's all made of like polyester and like the hot like sticky fabric. So you're just like, we'll just go out in shorts and that's fine.
Okay, Halloween in Utah, it's like your mom tells you, put a jacket on and cover up your costume, and the kids are all throwing tantrums because they don't want to cover the costume up, but it's too cold.
Yeah, typically. So when I moved to Utah, it baffled me. People probably spend just as much, if not more, money to decorate for Halloween than they do for Christmas. Like, I have never seen so many 20-foot skeletons in my life, or like front yard graveyards.
There is like an obsession.
Baffled. Yeah, it's a cult following.
Yeah, I have noticed that. And even in like the most recent years, like there is a cult following for Halloween with like Gen Z, and now like millennial is definitely getting on the train, but there's like an obsession with fall. So I'm like, hopefully these Halloween merch will sell really well, because everyone just loves Halloween. I don't know, pumpkin spice latte.
But the fall crowd and the Halloween crowd are not the same, because I am the cult fall follower, but like I don't get into Halloween. Like
Like
I don't
spooky.
love it. Yeah, I'm not into that whole thing. But I'm not putting like dead things in my front yard unless it's a pumpkin that is now off the vine. So obviously it is dying, but it's just not my jam.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think, yeah, that's a good point. I should probably do like a fall line and a Halloween line for the
Definitely.
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, to appeal to everybody because like
Yes.
Amanda, not everyone wants a ghost on their t-shirt, I guess.
That's
So
not necessarily. I'm not saying I wouldn't wear one, but I probably wouldn't buy one.
yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
So, but if you put a cute pumpkin on there, you got my attention.
Mm.
So,
Maybe I'll make some cute pumpkin pajamas then. Pumpkin
yeah.
tooth pajamas.
Oh yes.
Well, love
Yeah.
it.
Okay, Julie, what advice would you give to other dental hygienists seeking to do this like entrepreneur route like you have? Like what kind of insight would you share?
I would say do a lot of research before you jump into just, opening a website because there is a lot that goes into it that I thought I had researched. I mean, I'd researched hours, watched so many videos on how to open your Shopify and all this stuff. And by the time I got to it, I was like, holy crap, there's so much more that I still need to learn. And so I spent even more time on YouTube. But yeah, doing your research is going to make it so much easier and it'll help you prevent you from getting really overwhelmed with it because there were times where I almost wanted to give up, but I'm like, no, like I've looked into this enough. I think I know where to keep going from here. But I could easily see how someone would just give up super easily. So a lot of research, a lot of YouTube. Don't be afraid to ask your friends for some help if you need ideas, that kind of thing. But it's not really something that you can just so easily jump into. Etsy's a little different. I think it's a little easier because you don't have to set up your shop on a website and like buy a domain and buy like the rights to your name and then get like not like an LLC, but just like a business name, that kind of thing, LLC. So you don't have to really do that for Etsy. So it's a little easier to do that. But if you are doing your own website, then yeah, it's gonna take some time and probably have a little patience with yourself because you're not gonna do it overnight. Even though all the guys on YouTube say you can open your Shopify in 24 hours. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely open a shop in 24 hours, but is it going to be running and is it going to look good?
Is it going to
Probably
make
not.
you money?
Is it going to make you money? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I follow this guy who does print on demand training on Facebook, and that's how I get a lot of my information too. But a lot of people will post their websites and like, hey, can you rate my website to the feed? And I'm like, like how are these people getting sales? Because it looks so undone and so unprofessional. And I can tell who did the research and who didn't. And I hope nobody looks at my website and thinks that. But yeah, there's a couple of people on there. I'm like, you'd benefit from doing a little bit more research.
Well, I've been on your
so
website.
much.
It looks very clean.
Thank you. I tried. I try.
You did it. You didn't try. You did it.
Yeah, because you have to be aware of like pricing too, like how much people are willing to spend, and then you have to incorporate the cost of shipping into that price. And so like before, I actually had my shirts as like $25 or something like that, which is totally more affordable. However, the shipping on each shirt was so expensive. It was like $6 a shirt or $7. So every time, let's say they wanted, 2 shirts, that's 50 plus now $14. Sorry, my dog is playing with the toy. Um, so now they're paying $14 for shipping for these 2 shirts. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I raised the prices of the shirts a little bit so that I could offer free shipping. And that's just, one thing that I had to learn through a month. I had my shop open for a month and I wasn't getting a lot of sales because of the shipping costs. And now that I've tweaked that a little bit, I've, been doing a lot better, but I had to learn that type of thing. So
Free shipping is definitely enticing. I think
Yeah.
years and years ago, like as a student where money was, not as abundant as it is now as a practicing hygienist, that was always such a deterrent. It was like, okay, I can buy this for $20 or whatever, but then it's the stinking $6 that is on top of that, plus the tax, whatever. That was just like, nope, I can't. This is now in a different price point that I just can't afford.
Yeah.
So
I
I
feel
think that's huge.
I feel like shipping makes or breaks it too. Like you're like, yes, I've got this whole cart of stuff, and then you're like, oh, $2 of shipping, forget it. Like at least that's the way that I am on like Amazon or something. I'm like $300 order, and there's like $3 in shipping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like forget the order, it's fine. So
like you
I
won't
like
even give
having
me free shipping on $300. Come on, who's the cheapo here? Not me.
Yeah,
you.
So we do free shipping in the US, and then for Canada, I factored in the cost of shipping to the products, and then I didn't want the product to be way too expensive, so I had to add a little shipping on top of that. But I think the max shipping for Canada is like $7, which I think is actually really good because most of the time it's like at least 15. So yeah, I don't get many orders from Canada though.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
how many have you had?
Only like 2. So and one girl just asked me if I ship to Mexico. I'm like, oh, I have to look into that. So it's just, I hate charging for shipping, but if they're willing to pay it, then I suppose we could do that.
Yeah,
as long as it's not outrageous.
Right. I mean, you have to
want to be fair.
Your bottom line.
Yeah, I want to be fair to the people. So.
Well, Julie, we have just a last couple of questions here. But before we dive into like our signature questions that we love, why don't you just tell everybody where they can find your merch?
So my website's pretty easy, hygieneglow.com. And then my Instagram is Hygiene Glow Apparel. You can't currently buy through my Instagram, but you can get to my website through Instagram. So those are the two places. I'm not on Etsy. I'm just on hygieneglow.com.
And I wanted to point out and again say I appreciate that you actually carry extended sizes in your t-shirts, because that has definitely not always been the case. So you carry, what was it, a 3X up to a 4X?
It depends on the item, but I think most of them go up to 3X and some of them go up to 4X. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome.
All right. Signature questions. Is that the time now?
Yes, it is.
Here we go.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, what do you wish you would have learned in school that took you years to learn as a dental hygienist?
I wish I knew how to gracefully talk to them about what kind of treatment they needed. In a way that they can understand. And, I don't want them to think that insurance will dictate their treatment, that kind of thing. So it's hard when you're like, you need this type of cleaning, and here's why. And they just don't understand. They think, you see them as a price tag, or you see them as like, I don't know. There's just a way to talk to people and tell people and encourage them what they need so that they'll actually do their treatment. And when I first got out of school, I just didn't understand why they didn't understand. And so using like, more personal terminology rather than you need scaling and root planing, you could say you need a type of gum therapy, and then go from there and explain it further. And then you can tell them the formal name for this is scaling and root planing but talking to them on their level was something that I had to work on to really build that interpersonal relationship. And it took me probably a year of practice to say things to them where I felt like I could really connect with them and they understood the treatment. And I rarely get people rejecting SRP, I think, just because of the way that I phrase things. So that's just one big thing that I think comes with time.
Very true. It is very, very true.
Yeah.
What piece of advice do you wish you could go back and give yourself as a new grad?
There's 2 things. One, invest in your health. You know, not every office is going to have that saddle stool. So if you're planning on being a hygienist for a really long time, you should probably get yourself a really nice quality saddle stool that you can bring with you. If, you know, if you're staying at an office for 2 years, great. If you stay out an office for 10 years, great. If you stay out an office for one day, they might not have the chair you want. I wish that I had gotten a saddle stool. I'm looking into one right now because I'm definitely feeling it in my body. But the saddle stool, you know, invest in that. Massages would be awesome because over time it's gonna hurt. So monthly massages, if you can afford that, there's a lot of good options to do that. I've recently started going to the massage schools because they are like $40, but I can get a massage every week because I can afford $40 a week versus like 130. So yeah, investing in your health. The second thing is knowing your worth as a hygienist. Even if you're a new grad, don't settle for an office just because you're new. You want that office to match your standard of care. You want them to match your values. And if they don't, then there's plenty of options out there, and you can find something that's perfect for you. And I understand that it's harder to get a job as a new grad, and you might want to take the first job you can get, which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, test the waters, see if you like it, but don't stay at a job just because you think because you're new, you won't find something better. You know, like always explore your options, know your worth, and go from there.
Very true. Very true. I feel like almost the common denominator of everybody that we interview and ask these questions to, they almost always say like either temp first before you commit to a job, or really don't lower that standard. And yeah, I would totally agree. I probably stayed at offices longer than I should have because of toxic atmospheres and just afraid to step out. So
yeah, but that's all part of
agree.
learning. I mean, we didn't know that until we experienced that. So maybe someone has to go through that as well to know that, and then they can tell the next person. And but yeah, always be trying to learn and seek out new information. Keep your feet wet on the newest information. So that's just the best thing you can do as a new grad, is just staying informed.
Yep.
Okay, I want to tell you guys something really funny about my experience with the saddle stool. And yes, they are phenomenal seats. They do everything they promise. They are fantastic. We actually have one in the office I'm at right now, and I can't use it. And I'm going to tell you guys why.
Oh, I think we probably know why.
The doctors are so much taller than me that when they come in and they sit down, they raise the chair up. And then when they get off, they keep it so high. I was like trying to climb into the saddle stair after every single exam. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Like,
yeah, it's like you really are climbing on a horse.
Yes, literally climbing on that seat to get in there. I'm like, you know, I just can't do this every exam.
That's so funny you say that, though.
I'd love to bring it back into the op, but it was just a disaster. Every time someone had to walk me, like, I feel like I lost all credibility once you watched me try to like.
It's so funny you say that, because the last time I had a saddle stool was at my last office, and the dentist would also raise the chair up, and there'd be times where I try to sit on it and I would miss it and I would like fall backwards.
That is
and
my fear.
Oh my gosh. And so yeah, it would get kind of annoying. But after a while, he just started like raising the patient and standing and doing their exam, and not even bothering sitting, because I think he didn't like the way that it felt on him, for obvious reasons. Men don't quite like the saddle stool as much as the women do. So yeah, but I get that concern, Joffrey, for sure.
It is my constant fear. I don't have a saddle stool, but any chair, like there have been so many times that I feel like, oh my gosh, I almost fell and had a disaster in front of the patient or hurt myself. That's like, I don't know why. That's just like such a fear of mine.
Have you guys ever tripped over the X-ray sensors before?
And ripped it out of a patient's mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Not in a long time, but yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Guilty. It's happened.
Oh.
I once had like a 10-year-old or something like the little tiny kid in the seat, and I had stood up to go check something on the computer, and I just turned back around, and that little kid pushed my chair out, and I fell right on my butt on the floor
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
wasn't even looking for the seat. It was
Little
just
turd.
lean over, come back, seat's gone, I'm on the floor.
Oh.
He's hysterically laughing. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
why did you do that to me?
You're like, I'm glad can be so relatable for you.
Little
That's
turd.
so funny.
Smack
That is
him.
so funny.
Okay, but
Oh,
have you
gosh.
ever been thrown up on though? That's the real question.
No. No. Knock on wood, no.
Nope.
And never. Because
Twice.
Ew.
I can't do that.
It was when I first started practicing. I was at a Medicaid office. Once, I will take responsibility for this one, like 50% responsibility. She was special needs. I was using the ultrasonic. I was pretty new. I was probably grounding her a little bit. So
Mhm.
she survived. She took precautions and survived. So it wasn't a huge mess. Her parents took care of her. It was embarrassing for
Mm.
me, but we rescheduled and I scheduled her with another hygienist. So like I can't do it. I can't take care of her. I felt bad.
Mm.
Second time it happened, not my fault. Not my fault. This mom brought her child in after lunchtime, and I was cleaning using the ultrasonic, and all of a sudden just chicken nuggets start spewing up. And
Oh
like out of
no.
nowhere, no sign of anything. And I mean, I am covered. I am
Oh
covered.
no.
And I'm like, what the heck? And she goes, oh yeah, he wasn't feeling good today. So I took him to McDonald's before the appointment. I'm like, what in that sentence was okay with you? Like,
Ooh,
he
God.
wasn't feeling good, so I took him to McDonald's and brought him to a dental appointment.
It's like the worst thing you can give to your sick child too.
Oh, right? Like, what?
Did you go home after that?
Fortunately I worked pretty close to this office, so I was able to go home and change and come back. And graciously, one of the assistants cleaned up the room. So I didn't have to clean up. She felt bad for me. Oh,
Oh
like I
my
was
Okay.
gosh.
very
You guys
grateful.
experienced when like you're doing scaling and root planing, they're numb and they don't close properly on the suction what ends up happening is the water sploos all down
Oh,
them and
yeah.
like onto your pant leg. Have you guys gotten the wet pant leg yet?
I think I spread far enough. I'm not in that zone,
Yep.
but I know what you're talking about. I'm out
It's
of that
so
danger zone.
icky when you
It's-
It's definitely happened to a patient when they're wearing like a white shirt and they're like bloody
Oh,
saliva gets, and I'm like, oh no, like, oh, you're gonna need some peroxide after this appointment.
businessmen that wear like a white collared shirt, like I get white lab coat syndrome in that white collared shirt because I'm like, I'm gonna get it dirty. There will be
Mhm.
something on it, whether it's blood, polishing paste, something's gonna get on that shirt. So I will extra bib everything.
Yeah, you gotta tuck in that bib like they're about to go eat crab or something.
It makes me nervous. Like, oh, it's the worst for
Have
me.
you ever gotten fluoride on somebody's shirt before?
Today, a little kid. It was a tiny speck, but and he
Yeah.
he wasn't like the cleanest kid anyway. So I'm like, it's fine. But
Yeah, here's some advice for new grads. Always apply fluoride with the bib on, because if you get it on their shirt,
yeah,
it will not come out of their shirt and they will be very
never,
mad.
never. I think I got some on my scrubs one time, and I think it has finally washed out after 6 months.
Oh, mine is still on my scrubs after like 5 years. Like it's like glue. It does not come out. It's crazy.
Ugh.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we all share these experiences though, because it makes me feel a little bit better about the hard days at work.
Yeah. Those little mistakes that make you nervous, and yeah, all those things.
Yeah.
I know, it should just be like any new grad feeling unsure about themselves, like just a little montage clip of all the terrible things that happened to me in clinic.
Mhm.
This "You Are Not Alone" video.
Yeah, that would be a fun series. That would be a really
It's
fun
actually
series.
funny you mentioned that. A couple years ago, I had made this mini like patient series on my Instagram where it was like real life things that had happened during the day, and just made like a spoof video. Like, of course, I love my patients. Like, it's just I'm making fun of them, but at the same time, it's just funny. Yeah, like the things they say.
Yeah.
Like during COVID is when I made these videos, and one of them was like I did that Snapchat filter with like the giant mouth. You know what I'm talking about? They have like
yeah.
the giant mouth, and it has like the high pitched voice, and it was like, "Do you have COVID? Do you sterilize those instruments?" Like, and it was so ridiculous because these were things that people actually said to me, and they're like, "You reuse those?" And like, oh my gosh, like I haven't left the house in months. Like, I've been surviving off of top ramen and dried beans. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, these are the actual conversations that I was having with people during COVID. Maybe I'll post them on my Hygiene Glow Instagram just for fun. I just don't want to offend I don't want to offend anybody. I don't think they're really offensive.
Those would be really
funny.
cute little stories or reels to have in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you follow like Jerry RDH or RDH Humor at all?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like some of his stuff, like I think if you didn't have a sense of humor, you would be offended by it. But I think he's hilarious. Like, yeah, he is one of my favorite Instagrammers. But yeah.
I think one of my videos too is like me gargling like I need suction. I'm like it's like the most like you can swallow. It's okay. Like it's just
yours.
Saliva. And they're like,
it's yours.
Yeah. I'll post them. I'll see if I get a positive response from them. Hopefully.
I am that patient when I am flossing myself. I won't swallow after I floss. I have to spit it out.
I get that. I do get that.
Me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, thank you. It was a fun
You're
conversation.
Welcome. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie. We'll
Thanks for having me.
And I hope this boosts your Hygiene Glow apparel sales. And I'll go purchase a Barbie shirt later tonight. And Amanda's going to keep an eye out for the pumpkins.
Yeah, pumpkin pajamas.
And the pajamas. Yeah, pumpkin pajamas, little teeth pumpkins. Yes.
I started working on the orthodontic shirt, but I'm getting kind of a little bit of roadblock with how to proceed because my inspiration was Metallica. Let's see if I have a picture of it. Because of the skull, but I don't know if I'm going to continue on with that. But
you should do a skull with braces. That's funny.
That's what I was gonna do. Was gonna be like metal mouth, like Metallica font, you know.
Funny.
And then a skull with braces. But Metallica, I can't really put Metallica because that's trademark.
Or okay, what about Metal Militia? Are you familiar with Metal Militia?
Mm-mm.
You should just look up Metal Militia. It's like a motorcycle gangy kind of thing, and they're into skulls. Metal Militia. I feel like
I will.
That will give you some stuff.
Yeah, see, this is how I get ideas. You just ask people and they tell me to look it up, but I figure it out. Cool. Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.